Hey everybody, I'm Sierra.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome back to another episode of The Unsolved Couple, where for the last year, 52 weeks, Ben and I have recapped one of your original gateway drugs into true crime.
Unsolved mysteries.
We've been here for a year.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you feel about that?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had been better about writing down some of my thoughts or my goals of what I thought the first year could look like or what I hoped. Because I think I'd be pleasantly surprised.
I think we're just trying to get it going.
Mm-hmm.
The thought of I don't know. Goals of that, I think the goal was just to do it.
Well, it was a lot of work. Yeah. I think it was kind of I wish we had just taken time only because I think it would have been fun to go back and look at I think my only goal really was could I do this for a year? Everything else was icing on the cake.
And we did.
And we did.
I mean, technically, we started recording back, in June, July?
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So we've been going strong.
Yeah. But I remember the night before and that first morning that the first episode dropped. It was Christmas morning, right? I was so nervous and so excited. And then just hitting even 10 downloads. I was there are people listening to us and it is awesome. But as of now, today, we have been downloaded in 804 cities across the world.
It's pretty good.
That is pretty cool, right? So yeah, I wanted to just take a moment and thank everybody that's listening to this, that it means a lot. I'm really grateful that everyone shows up every week. I'm grateful for the people that have left ratings and reviews, who have followed us on social media, who've supported us and shared us with their friends. It's really been, I love doing this. This is one of my favorite projects.
I enjoy the project I get to do with you. So, I realized this week, or the last couple of weeks, as we're watching this documentary, because I'm sure people, if they listened last week, they know we're doing the Amy Bradley Netflix.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So, and golly, got something there. The last episode, I had such a hard time. And I thought, man, I'm getting tapped out from watching Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah.
It's really hard. It was hard to get going in it. And I realized, nah, it's not Unsolved Mysteries. It's just true crime altogether. Because I had the same problem with this documentary. I just didn't want to do it. And I realized, no, this isn't. Even with a year, I have watched hours of this stuff. I just.
And you don't get it.
I get it. I just don't. It's just not my. I haven't formed. I thought I would form a love or a liking. And I'm nah, I don't hate it. I just realized yeah, that's just, I haven't gotten a passion yet. Maybe, maybe in year 2.
Maybe this year will be your year.
But I'm pretty certain it won't. But that's okay, because I have really enjoyed us doing this hobby together,
Well, and I think it is important and fun. I think it's one thing that sets us apart from there are millions of true crime podcasts. And you show up out of love for your wife every week. But because you are not some true crime aficionado or, true crime enthusiast, whatever you want to call yourselves, you have a different perspective on it. It keeps things a little fun and light because some of these things we talk about are hard.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think it makes us stand out amongst the crowd that maybe a lot of the times, I don't want to say ignorance, not the right word, but yeah, you might be kind of like out of the loop
I'm definitely ignorant. I'm not afraid to admit that.
Yeah, that's not to say a bad thing. It's
just I choose to be ignorant on some things.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. When you and I was having this conversation. It was before we started this.
Mm-hmm.
You realize as your kids get older and that you end up with more free time on your hands. Yeah. And I had it says like, man, I need more hobbies, stuff to keep my mind and to fill my time instead of just the way a lot of us fill time, which is TV or whatever, mindless stuff. And I've been really, dude, I am having a hard time today. I've really enjoyed that I've been able to do something with my time that's not just like playing game, watching whatever television or killing time with whatever it is. So it's been a fun hobby for sure. And I've enjoyed, and like I said, I've really enjoyed that you and I have gotten to do it together. Yeah. So I was really on board to do it.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize, because there were some things we enjoyed, some stuff. We watched Cold Case Files, Forensic Files, American Justice.
You and I did get after a lot of Forensics Files.
And I liked Dateline growing up. Yeah. But I just never formed a passion for it. And I still don't. I just realized with this one, I don't think I'm ever going to get that passion. Yeah. But that's okay.
And yet here you work in law enforcement. That's why Ben's like going to be the one person when these big cases come through and you wonder how they find an impartial jury. I'm like, oh, that's Ben. A lot of the times, unless I've told him about something because you don't have social media, he would have no clue that certain things were happening.
I was really bummed. I almost got jury duty on a murder trial. Mm-hmm. And, but I got kicked off. The defense attorney used one of his 3 strikes on me. Yeah. And he wouldn't let me sit. But I will say, I was fully prepared to sit there and listen to the evidence and make a judgment based upon the evidence. Yeah. But I got kicked out.
All right. Well, let's get into it. So yeah, if you guys listened last week, you kind of know what's going on. If this is randomly the first episode you're listening to, normally Ben and I recap episode by episode and give you updates of our beloved show, Unsolved Mysteries. However, when this documentary came out a few weeks ago, Ben was slightly intrigued by osmosis, right? He walked through the house a few times while I was watching it. And he noticed it, but you still didn't know anything. But I've known about this story for a long time. And then I actually had, which made me really excited, several of our patrons reach out and ask me or like us if we had watched it and what our thoughts were. And then I even had more people ask us if we would ever cover it because they were interested in just how we tell stories, it being told this way. So as a thank you to the people who are listening to us, we thought it would be fun. Well, I thought it would be fun. Ben agreed to it to recap the Netflix documentary about the missing persons Amy Bradley case. I do believe that that Amy Bradley is covered on an Unsolved Mysteries episode.
But it's gotta be way down the road because this didn't happen till 98. Yeah. And as of right now, we're in season 3. Yeah. I think we're only in 1990.
We're like late 80s, early 90s.
I think this season's 1990, maybe 1991.
Yeah. So.
But let me just say, I'm going to digress.
Okay.
Congratulations to you. Oh, you deserve all the credit. I've said this last time Sierra has done all the work and has really put a lot of work into it. So congrats, baby.
Thanks.
You've done yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've gotten this thing a lot further than even I was expecting, but I
appreciate it. I actually had a friend ask me the other day. I work, first off, I literally am, my plate is full. And I had someone ask me the other day if I could, like, just something could happen and one of my actual careers outside of like wife and motherhood was taking me in a direction that it was going to require all of my time, which lane would I rather choose? And it's a hard question because I love what I do in real estate because I get to interact. I love marketing and I think it's fascinating. But ultimately, the ability to work from home 100%. And I genuinely love this community and I love the art and being creative. I mean, yeah, to do this for a year has been amazing. I am hopeful and everything that, if this potentially goes anywhere, it would be a dream come true to be able to do this full time, to be able to have, one-off series, to be able to do daily updates and do way, way, way more stuff. And so, yeah, follow us, rate us, review us, all of the things that we say in all of the other episodes, because I would absolutely love for me to be able to dedicate full-time work energy to this, and to be able to grow this along with you. But yeah, so we today are going to cover the Amy Bradley documentary on Netflix. Hopefully this will work out because it's different than our normal format.
Yeah, so we got 3 episodes. Each one were about 45 minutes apiece. And I mean, really, even though there's a lot of material here, there's a lot of just talking and sharing. And when you're looking at it in this aspect, I'm not trying to speak ill. When you're looking at this aspect, there's a lot of filler stuff.
Well, yeah, in the world of storytelling, that's, in our format, we're going to tell it the best that we can and give us, our normal thoughts and our banter back and forth. But there might be, we are not investigative journalists. This is not a deep dive. There might be things missed. And hopefully we're going to try to do this in one episode, but if it gets to be too long, which is already chitty chatting for plenty of time, we will break it up into 2 episodes for you guys.
All right.
Okay. So vanished at sea. And we hear the question being asked by the producer. What do you think happened to Amy? That's the very first thing we hear at the top of the show. And it's how we are introduced to kind of some of the talking heads. And here I wrote some of their quotes down. I don't know. Something terrible happened. I got to think that somebody killed her. Maybe she was killed and put into a suitcase and taken off the ship. I think she jumped or fell off. I do not believe that Amy committed suicide. There's no room for me to believe that. I'm reluctant to tell you what I think happened. I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want to speak it into being. How did a family vacation turn into a nightmare? Well, it started when 23-year-old Amy vanished literally without a trace. So as these interviews are going on, these talking heads are kind of coming in and out. We're also getting flashbacks. We see home video of Amy Bradley intermixed with shots of cruise ships going through what is an ideal vacation, right? Crystal clear, beautiful aqua water, waves, everything you guys want. So you see this picture of an ideal vacation. And then we go back to our talking heads and someone says very bluntly, I think she was taken as a sex slave. And then the line that is really stood out to me was, if you ever want to kill someone, take them on a cruise. Yeah. So that's kind of literally like the introduction on the documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, take away? No?
No.
Okay.
I mean, no. I mean, yeah, like I said, I mean, they feel like, obviously, they're doing a special. It's 5 minutes, and you don't really know what happened. They're just giving you all this stuff.
No, yeah, and I will say, as we're going through this, yeah, I would love to hear as what your even personal internal mind monologue, what you were kind of thinking, because yeah, we're getting to take this right along with Ben as someone who had never even heard of this before.
Yeah, I've never even heard her name.
Yeah.
Or any of this story until I stumbled into the living room with you watching this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but obviously, like you can see, cruise, when you actually start thinking about it in that aspect, because when everyone hears cruise, they instantly are thinking good times, partying.
Yep. Carefree, tropical, yeah, sightseeing.
But if you start thinking about it in a bad context, it is a recipe for disaster, even to this day.
Yeah.
And this is 20-something years ago. And you think about it, it is a disaster.
Had you ever realized any of the innate risks a cruise could be before?
I don't know if I've actually ever thought of it, because here's the thing. I've never been on a cruise. And
we've talked about doing them. We've talked about it.
There's always been a part of me that has been a little reluctant.
Yeah, when we had little kids, the thought of me taking my kids on a ship.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Like
I read the story of the dad, the little 5-year-old that fell through the little porthole, and the dad jumped in to get her and had to.
Nope.
He had to wait, or for an hour for them to turn around and rescue him. Thankfully, he saved his kid.
Yeah.
But it's just things like that. Obviously, it's a recipe. Not that bad things can't happen, but.
No, and you all know how I feel about the ocean. It terrifies me. The thought of being stuck on a cruise ship in the middle of a storm. No.
Yeah.
But yeah. So. All right. So, family background. We have Amy's mom, Iva, dad, Ron. They both kind of pop onto the screen. And as we're seeing these, I do love old home movies. You don't have that anymore. Everything's polished, but I love it. I think I've said that before in other podcasts. Yeah. I loved it. And I love getting to see these happening and people talking and sharing memories from when they took that. And so they're kind of sharing just how this feeling of loss has embedded themselves into their daily, every fiber of their being. And you can feel that through the screen. So Chesterfield, Virginia, 3/21/98, the day the Bradley family leaves. Erin, a family friend who grew up, she basically says she was like the third, child that was always there. She dated Bradley for a time, or Brad, and she's arriving at the house. She's going to be watching the family home and Amy's dog while they're on vacation. Then Bradley comes on to the screen, and he's Amy's younger brother. And he shares that he'd always looked up to his sister. At the time, Amy's 23 and Brad is 21. She had just moved into a new apartment, had adopted a dog, and this trip was kind of meant to kick off their life as adults. So, the cruise, San Juan, Puerto Rico, is where they are departing from. We meet the guy that just, Kurt. Here's my thing about Kurt. I'm going to say this up front. I don't think innately I cannot put my finger on He seems to have zero compassion for anyone in a bad place in this story. And maybe that's jaded of him. But he seems to be the person, and we all know this, that's obsessed with the company they work for and can do like no wrong and defend them to the nth degree.
I say I didn't have a problem with Kurt, and this is why.
Okay.
Yes, and I do think the documentary intentionally, and maybe I don't know, but I think they wanted him to come across the way he did. Now, obviously, he said what he said, and he said it in the way he said it. But this is why I didn't mind Kurt, because at least you were getting what the cruise line and the crew were really thinking and how they were approaching the situation.
Yes, 100%.
So you're getting a real...
Which is callous, cold, and really like, this is not my problem.
Yeah. And here's the thing. We can all have a problem with it. I think, obviously, knowing what we know now, we all do have a problem, and we should have a problem with it. But
I think that's a good point you brought up. I'm not angry at him, but I think it's a good point you brought up. That was the mindset of the entity that was the cruise.
And he, to fair to him or not, he was technically the voice of the cruise line and the crew at the time, or on the documentary.
He's the face of the ship, being the cruise director. So he's not the captain. He didn't have any authority or anything, but he's like the hype guy, the party guy, right?
But he's telling you how they were approaching this and how they felt about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want my honest opinion, this guy has zero choice, and he doesn't even really know what's going on. No one talked to him about it. The one guy, the guest services guy, actually talked to the parents.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to that later.
And he was also a little callous and cavalier too.
And he made a decision that might have been
problematic.
Problematic. I mean, so like I said, yes, and I guess think that they probably clipped his interview and it made it look worse than what he said. He very well could have said those callous things and then after said, that sucks, but that was our mentality. And, we feel terrible. I feel terrible. But he could have said nice things, but.
He seemed to me like the person who is doubling down, because if he took a moment and didn't, he'd realize that even unknowingly, he contributed to the problem. But that's human nature, right?
It's human nature. Yeah. We all want to think that what we did was okay, or that there was a reason why we did what we did, and it was good. And it takes a
better person than Kirk to say, I thought this way, so I brushed it off, I blew it off, I didn't think it was that big of a deal, and I made a mistake in doing so.
But I do think this guy had no decision making. He's not the one. Like, he didn't make any decisions.
Yeah. He decided to speak on a documentary, though.
That he did, and I don't know if I ever would have. So
I get to call it like I see it when you choose to put yourself out there.
Absolutely. I mean, you are the one willing to go in front of a camera. Mm-hmm. I think if I was involved in something like that, I would not talk. I'd be like, no, I'm out. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to put myself out there.
Yeah.
I already know where I was.
He just reminds me of the people that peaked in high school. And he peaked at his job as the face of the cruise ship. He says multiple times, "This was the best times of my life." And I was like, okay. Yeah.
It's a high school ship.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. So day 1, they depart. Day 2, they're at sea. Day 3, they do Aruba. Day 4, they hit Curacao. Day 5 is at sea. Day 6 is St. Martin. Day 7 is St. Thomas. And then 8, they return back to San Juan. So that's the itinerary that we have for this cruise. This ship is massive. If you've never seen a cruise ship in real life, walked up to it, they're huge. It is able to carry, and I think at the time there was well over 2,000 passengers on the ship. And this trip is actually a work gift for Amy's father for his job, and they offered to cover the full family of 4, but they just got 1 room. So all 4 adults are staying in one, and cruise ship rooms are tiny. Even these balcony ones, there's not a lot of room. So Amy bought postcards along the trip that she was sending back to people, film supplies to enter a photo contest of some sort. Days 1 through 3 seemed to be a picture perfect fun time, right? We see photos of formal night. And if anyone doesn't know, on formal night, like you have to dress up. I think when I went on the cruise, my formal night was like one of my homecoming or prom gowns. Like it's all out. Okay. And then we see videos and pictures from the family having fun. They all kind of note that during that time, Amy seems to get a little bit of extra attention from the staff, including the point where her dad even joked. There was a kind of a running joke on the boat that they were saying, if anyone ever needs anything, just tell them that Amy wants it and it's going to get done and taken care of. That evening after dinner, everyone changed out of their former wear. The deck party starts at 10 p.m., late by some standards, including mine.
Yeah, that's way too late. That's way past my bedtime.
Exactly. This is maybe why we wouldn't be good on a cruise ship, because I'm like, where's like the nighttime bed story and like warm tea?
I need,
but a party starting at 10 o'clock. Okay. No. So there's a limbo, as there always is. And oddly enough, Brad wins. He wins this ridiculous crown. He gives it to his sister. And then they continue the night. The party was called Dancing Under the Stars. So people are outside, they're drinking, they're dancing, having an amazing time. 1 a.m., Amy's parents decide they're tired, they're going to bed. So
they made it to 1.
Same. I was like, that's impressive. Amy and Brad decide to head to the ship's disco. That's just like a nightclub, dancing and music, I'm guessing. Located on one of the upper decks. After dancing, having a few drinks, Brad decides to leave. He signals to Amy because they are separated. He's down, it seems like, on the floor. Amy's upstairs by the DJ booth. He kind of signals to make eye contact, lets her know, like, hey, I'm wrapping it up. I'm heading out. At 3:35 a.m., Brad returns to the cabin. And we know this because the electronic lock was time-stamped. His parents are already asleep, and he decides to go out to the balcony. Literally 5 minutes later, 3:40, time-stamped, the door's unlocked again. Amy returns. She and Brad share a cigarette, finish their drinks, and talk about their plans for the next day. She casually mentions that some of the ship's band members had hit on her. She was a little uncomfortable about it, but just kind of brushed that person's sort of attention off. Around 4 a.m., Brad tells us that he went inside to finally call it a night. 4 a.m. Can you imagine going to bed at 4 in the morning?
I get up before 4 in
the
morning to go to work. These people are coming home after I'm already up to go to work. Like the thought of this just makes me nauseous.
I know.
Because staying up too late for me, I get sick. And too late is like 11:30.
Even on vacation.
Yeah.
I would say the latest nights we've ever had on vacation were when you and I, kid-free, went to New York. Yeah. And we stayed up and out into the city until 1 or 2 in the morning. But again, that's because the time change.
It doesn't, because here's the best part. We're going to find out. They're docking and have to be in Curacao at 7 in the morning.
I also would like to know if anyone was thinking long-term ahead, that they're getting off the ship at 7:30 in the morning.
So it's almost 4 in the morning. You're going to
grab the ship 3 hours of sleep.
Who can function for 3 hours?
Not me. I can function, but I want to be enjoyed like my trip. And I want to be a pleasant person to be around. And I'll tell you what, 3 hour of sleep, Sierra is not going to be a peach in Curacao.
That doesn't sound like a vacation to me. So in New York, we were out till 1:30, 2 in the morning, but we slept till 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Exactly. So 5:30 a.m., give or take. Now, mind you, this is all,
Supposedly.
yeah, I would say this is all people, this is firsthand information that we're getting from the Bradley family. So when I give you times, they're estimated, approximate. They're not.
That's what I meant. It's estimated, not supposed. But.
Ron, the father, wakes up briefly, sees that Brad is in bed, and notices that Amy's feet are stretched out on a lounge chair out on the balcony, rolls over, falls back asleep. He wakes up again sometime, he said, between 6 and 6:30, and notices that Amy is gone. The balcony door is still open, but gets up, notices that her cigarettes are missing and that her yellow polo tank top or yellow polo shirt that she had been wearing at the deck party was left inside the room on a chair. We never find out, and this could be wrong. Maybe I missed it somewhere. I don't know if Brad ever says whether she had it on while outside with him.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. So Ron assumes that Amy changed her clothes and maybe had just decided to call it good. She wasn't going to fall asleep and go up and get coffee. Makes sense. Or possible that she's wanting to get photos of the sunrise while also pulling into port. He decides he's awake. I'm going to just go up, look for my daughter, find her, enjoy a cup of coffee, and let everyone else sleep. Sorry, I had a peanut in my tooth. That's what I was eating for lunch. But he can't find her. You know? And I don't think he panicked quite yet, but he says he looks for her and gets to the point where he can't find her, that he goes back to the room and wakes up his wife, saying that basically he'd been looking for Amy for almost an hour and couldn't find her.
Yeah, it's a little strange. And the fact of this ship is so big and really quick to freak out.
I don't know if there's any freak out yet, but I will say, my only thing is at that time, when on a cruise ship, not everything is open. There might even be sections of the ship that are closed off.
I don't know. I've never been on one. So, and I'm going to guess that with looking for an hour, there was probably only a few places to look for her. And if he doesn't see her.
Yeah, he's probably like, you're going to go to the lobby. You're going to check kind of the main places, walk the decks.
And if you can't find
him. Yeah.
Then your biggest fear is, did they fall overboard?
Yeah.
You know, and if they did, we need to look for her as soon as
possible. Yeah.
I mean, you were on a cruise ship. If someone is missing, time is of the essence because of where they could be. Which
seems to be a principle lost on guest relations.
Yeah.
Because that's the next person that we meet. So around 7:50 in the morning, guest relations is notified. Manager Brett describes the Bradleys as forceful with their pleas.
I had it put as 7 a.m.
You had it 7 a.m.?
That's what I had on.
Okay. I wrote down 7:50. But so, okay, yours is probably correct.
So he'd been, according at least to my notes, they've been looking for an hour and they go to him.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that what?
Let me go back up in my notes. So around 6:30 though is when he leaves the hotel room to go look for her. So it should be somewhere between 7:30 and 8 in the morning that guest relations is notified. Manager Brett, describes the Bradleys as, quote, forceful in their pleas for help. The family begged for a public announcement over the PA. And this is, again, the cavalier behavior comments from this manager, Brent, and the face of the cruise ship, Kirk, are almost like, where do you get off asking us to do this? Like, who we have 2,000 other people we have to consider first. It's like, yeah, but out of those 2,000 people, one person could be in major grave danger. What is the harm in actually taking this serious? And I am sure on a cruise ship where there is a lot of sun and alcohol, people tend to curl up and fall asleep under a towel or X, Y, or Z. But unfortunately, when people's safety are under your umbrella, you lose the right to brush everything off, as annoying as it might get over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I appreciated that they at least were telling you pretty much their thought process at the time. And I'm like, you guys have probably, or at least hopefully, have all learned your lesson from this. But unfortunately, this was the mentality and the way cruises were run at that time. And I mean, like, that is what they're there for, is for entertainment and service, right?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, because that is their focus, that's the first thing they're going to do instead of safety. So, I mean, like, safety clearly was not a top priority. This is the problem I had with Brett here, because I wrote his name down. He says, "Hey, listen, I can't make an announcement. It's too early. I might disturb the guests. Go look for her again. Come back in 30 minutes. And if you still can't find her, then," I wrote it down, "I'll get you in touch with security."
Yeah.
Why weren't you getting her in touch with security
immediately
right then? I guess what I'm saying is, what harm would it have done to say, "Hey, you know what?" Because first off, that's not your wheelhouse. Your guest services. Your head of guest
security might have
services.
said, "Hey, we need to do X, Y, or Z."
You should have passed this off instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not your job description. And trust me, like, I work for the government. The first thing we do is like, well, that's not my job description. Like, that's,
Yeah, but can you imagine if a 911 dispatcher was like, "It sounds like you might be able to do this on your own. Why don't you call back and try this, this, and this? YouTube your symptoms. See if you can put some ice on it.
Issue right here.
And call back in 30 minutes. And then at that point, I'll put somebody through."
So you have security.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's head of it. And this person who does not work for security makes the call to not put them in contact with security. Huge mistake.
And why?
And that's what I'm saying.
What harm was it going to do?
That's the point I'm making. What harm would it have done to say, "Hey, listen, you know what? This is outside my wheelhouse." Even if you want to deny making the public announcement, still disagree. That's wrong. But just say, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you go talk to these people?" Which this is their forte. This isn't my forte. All right. Anyway, so this is where I will take over. I'll tell the part of this. So they go and look for him. They come back, still can't find her. It doesn't matter. They have now docked at Curacao. And the mom tells us she's pleading with them, "Please don't let anyone off the ship. We need to find our daughter. We can't find her. Don't let her." That's where we get the Kurt guy. He's like, "Listen, man, we're not stopping these people on vacation." So boom, they open up the fairway.
I cannot imagine being the mother in this situation. I would have been standing in front of those doors.
But what do you do? So
they did everything they could. They begged, they pleaded, they cried, but literally zero empathy was given to these people. No, everyone, I'll be honest, that entire staff that had hands on this seemed like they could care less.
So around 9 a.m., they tell us that they go back. They tell them, "Hey, listen, we still can't find our daughter." So now everyone's off the ship. So the crew does a search of the ship. We get told, like, the ship is 10 decks, 1,000 feet long. But there's a massive crew on there. Supposedly they've run drills for this. I don't know. But they search every nook and cranny of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
The parents and family, the Bradley family, are in their room. The captain comes to their room and says, listen, sorry, we cannot find your daughter. She's nowhere to be found. So they think, well, of course, their first thing is
Everyone assumed, the entire staff, their mindset is basically,
she fell overboard.
Do they not have any protocol on what they do if they believe someone has fallen overboard?
Yeah,
It doesn't seem to.
So they think she's fell overboard. So they contact the local authorities of the port they're in, the Curacao police. We get introduced to John Mentor. At least you notice it was in parentheses. That's what his name meant, was John. So
okay.
But he's the chief of police in Curacao. And he said, all right, listen, let's start a search. They've got the Navy, their Navy. Mm-hmm. They've got the Coast Guard, the police, and they start searching a massive grid. And he says, like, he's lived on the island his whole life. If anything is out there, it will wash up. Something will wash up.
And I put a lot of credit into that. This man is not just law enforcement, but has lived there his entire life. This is probably not the first time that someone's either fallen off, jumped off, or has dumped something offshore.
So they do a search. They say it was a massive search. They don't find anything, and nothing is washing up.
Yeah, did you write down his quote?
What's that?
He said, and I quote, "The thing is strange." Like, that was just his, like...
Yeah. He's like, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Nothing there. So around 5, 6 o'clock, they leave Curacao. And that's what we get. He says, hey, man, life goes on. The crew says, cruise must go on.
What?
Yeah. Which is wild to me because, again, you are responsible.
Yes.
For these people, especially if
your only responsibility is not just them having fun.
Well, I think, but that's clearly how they took their responsibility. So life goes on.
When they
leave.
said cruises go on, bye, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
So come to find out, it's very shortly after that, the news starts breaking. In the U.S., it starts getting traction in the U.S. Like, hey.
And immediately the cruise line is super willing to be helpful and want to make sure everything is safe, right? Yeah. That's their biggest concern. There's a story out about them. They've got to help find this missing woman.
Yeah, no. They don't really care.
Their biggest concern is how this is going to be a PR nightmare for their bottom line.
Yeah, obviously. That's going to be, obviously, like, it's a company.
I understand that, but I cannot imagine being ahead of a company and being like, you guys, we need to put our resources behind this family, because if not, we are going to lose the trust of the people. That instead, it's, if the story gets out, then this is going to have an effect on us.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the FBI now gets involved. There's a field office at St. Thomas, pretty small field office. So we get introduced to the FBI agents, Aaron Sheridan and Victor McCullum. So they went to San Martin because that's where the ship was going next.
Yep.
They board the ship, but they're now boarding the ship 2 days after she's gone missing. It sounded like it was the next day in the evening. They board. So, but it's still been a long time since she's been missing. And they're like, all right, let's start our investigation.
And where do you start it at?
You're going to start in the last place she was seen. They go straight to the Bradley room. But what are you going to do? Come to find out, the room's been cleaned.
Why? Again, bare minimum, don't you think that the cruise ship would have said there's potentially, at worst comes to worst, someone jumped off this. We need to do some kind of investigation. Let's lock this room up.
This is my big issue here.
This is like your third big issue with like how
I guess
the cruise ship handled this.
Because you were asking me like when you start, had I ever thought about the dangers of cruising?
Mm-hmm.
This is something I hadn't thought about, but you got to think like there is no technically law enforcement on board. So there is no protocols, and no one clearly took charge from a law enforcement standpoint to say, hey, this is what we need to do.
So then what is the point of security?
And that is a massive problem, is that this security works for them. What were they doing? How were they not involved? Sounded like the captain was making all the decisions. And security there should be some type of separation between a cruise ship and security, where security's job is the safety and the well-being of them, and should be able to make calls. Mm-hmm. But again, there's still going to be them working for the company.
But even if the assumption by the entire staff of the cruise was she fell or jumped off, you left a port with one less body on board than of which you took away with, or you return back. Don't you have any kind of protocol? Because they say casually, like, yeah, it happens. People jump or they fall off. Okay, so what do you do then?
You see, and I don't know. I don't know where.
Because they acted as if, well, if she fell or jumped off, we owe zero explanation.
To find her?
Yeah.
I agree. It doesn't make it. It is mind-boggling. So,
and then how an entire cleaning crew was allowed to come in and scrub that place up and down?
That I don't get either. But this is a massive problem with cruise lines, because they're in international waters. Once you get 12 miles out, you're in international waters, which means there's no jurisdiction.
I'm going to open up a bank on a boat 12 miles out of shore, and then people can.
Technically, I guess you could.
Yeah.
But so the room's already been cleaned.
Yeah. There's nothing there.
And the FBI says he checks the balcony. The balcony's railing, he says it comes up to almost his chest. Mm-hmm. So it's very high. The likelihood of her just stumbling and falling over is pretty rare. Her shoes were on the balcony. They said a table had been moved, but that's not uncommon.
It's also not like these balconies are huge.
They're tiny. You have 4 adults in this room, so stuff's going to get moved. So, okay. The first thing they start doing, what's the first thing you do?
They got to interview the family.
Yeah, of course.
They are the last people to have seen her.
Yeah. Of course, they're not happy that the FBI is talking to them. But again, you are the ones that are saying you were the last. She did come to the room. Mm-hmm.
We know that.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
That is the last place
and
she was.
2 of the 3 people in that room saw her there. Mm-hmm. I will say, I think that the dad, Ron, didn't seem to be as maybe annoyed or perplexed that the FBI was interviewing them. I think this mother has been living in hell since that day. And I think the way she talks about almost everybody in this documentary, outside of like her very close circle of people, she has quite a bit of salt towards everyone, and rightfully so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I trust me that what this family went through is horrendous.
And what they go through every single day.
I can't even imagine.
But yeah, the fog kind of clears because the dad, Ron, says to his wife, you know why they're interviewing us so much, right? Because I think she seemed confused at the time.
Well, they interview them together, then they separate them, and they interview
which
them
is standard.
But the FBI come and say pretty clear, it's like, we don't think the family was involved.
Yeah.
They just don't.
And it sucks, but it has to be done because unfortunately most people...
Well, let's just eliminate that.
Yeah.
Then we can move on to the next
Statistically,
thing.
most people are injured by their family members or people close to them.
So they're trying to put the timeline together. We already kind of talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Amy enters back into the room at 3:40 a.m.
Yeah.
They know that, but they have no idea if she left because there's no digital, nothing to say that the door was open or someone left. It only shows when a key card went in and when someone entered. So they say 5:30. That's when the father saw her on the balcony, approximately at that time. And then at 6 a.m., he said he woke back up, and that's when he didn't see her on the balcony. So that's between that 5:30 and 6 is their timeline where they don't know what happened. They start searching the ship. There's cameras, but only in the common areas and not a lot of them. So there's just nothing to go off. They pull all the cameras. They start looking. There's nothing to find.
Yeah.
They don't see her. So, where are you taking over?
I can bounce in here
Yeah,
if you want me to.
Yeah.
So this is about so once again, we kind of start to see the FBI. I think she used a really good term. She said, other than like a couple of these facts, everything else is murky. And they've got to build a timeline. So they start talking to people, which is creating rumors spreading through the passengers. There's passengers from the ship interviewed, and there's one telling us that he'd heard that she fell, and then it was that she jumped. And then we get Kirk back on saying that she had bragged to multiple people that she could swim very good. And like maybe she decided to jump over and try to beat the boat to port.
Curacao. Yeah.
No.
He says that was a rumor that had been going around.
Yeah.
Clearly there was a ton of rumors going around.
There's a rumor that she was drugged, and all of these accounts this is an endless jigsaw puzzle of rumors. And rumors do not help anything because then if anyone is interviewed from the FBI, they have some sort of like preconceived or, how quickly rumors become facts in these worlds. So enter in some of the witnesses are interviewed. And the first one that we hear from is Wayne. He's a gentleman who is the next door passenger on the cruise ship to the Bradley's room. Okay. He lets us know that he had often chatted with Amy on the balcony at night. On the night that she vanished, though, he claimed he didn't hear anything unusual. He didn't see anything other than passengers later gossiping that for some reason the next day after she went missing, he kept his TV and radio on blaringly loud, which struck some people as suspicious. However, the FBI does search his cabin and room thoroughly, and they find nothing. Chris, this actually, I really liked this guy. He was a passenger, but he was a videographer for a company.
Yeah.
This is actually where 98% of the FBI's footage comes from. So this gentleman was on the ship filming highlights for the company that he worked for. It seemed like they had sent some of the leadership on this cruise or salespeople or whatever. And his job was to videotape a lot of it so that they could showcase it at the end of the year or something like that. He sees the missing Amy poster and starts going through his footage and found clear shots of Amy dancing with the gentleman that has become kind of synonymous with this case, which is his name was Alistair Douglas. His nickname was Yellow. This video shows Yellow giving Amy a lot of attention on the dance floor the night before she goes missing.
He's the bass player for the band.
Yes. He's a staff member of the cruise ship. And Chris does say something interesting. This is like the only time I hear of security being involved in anything.
It's the only thing security tried to do.
Yeah. Security calls Chris's room before Chris has even talked to anyone and says, hey, we know that you've been taking a lot of footage. We're going to need your tapes.
Not just your tapes.
Your master tapes.
Your master tapes.
Mm-hmm. And what does Chris say?
Yeah, no.
I don't give my master tapes to anybody.
He's like, no, I'm not giving you my
No.
tapes. And then he didn't even give it to security.
Nope.
He made copies
So
and
he
gave it to
instantly
the
makes
FBI.
copies, and turns all of that over to the FBI in what would become critical evidence. Then we meet Lori. She's another passenger, and she reports seeing Amy and Yellow in a glass elevator sometime possibly between the hours of 5 a.m. and 6 a.m., heading up to the closed nightclub. She later says that Yellow passed by her again so she's on the deck, walking past her, and it was weird because he didn't acknowledge her. So let's break that down real quick. So Lori and her friend had been dancing and partying and having a good time, had gone back to their rooms, tried to go to sleep, and for some reason, they're not tired. They can't sleep. So, which now seems to be like a running theme that no one can sleep on this ship, and everyone is handy dandy about that.
It's the ship that can't sleep.
The ship that can't sleep. So they go up to the deck to watch the ship come into port. They are on a part of the deck where if they look slightly over their shoulder and up is this giant glass window that showcases inside. And in the middle of that is a glass elevator. So you can see people coming up and down, whatever. And it also allows you to have view into like where the nightclub entrance is. They claim that as they were standing there, they had seen Amy and knew who she was kind of because there's not a ton of young people on this ship. So they kind of had gotten to see each other and recognize each other as they're at these different events. And Yellow, because he was very flirtatious with them earlier and had tried really hard to kind of get snuggled in with them as well. And they notice them going up the glass elevator and getting out. And then they don't really put a lot of thought into it until a little while later. Yellow walks past them on the deck. And they said the only thing that was notable about that is that Yellow for most of the time had been very flirtatious and had given them a lot of attention. And then that time when he walked past, he literally didn't even acknowledge their existence. So it stood out to them. Okay. The FBI comes back on to say that if this story is true, this would be, quote, a game changer. The problem is they have no way to you need something else to go along with this. You either need several more witnesses, you need a timestamp, you need a video, you need something.
They even say they weren't sure of the time.
Mm-hmm.
No one can quite be sure of the time.
Well, everyone at this point has been up for 20-something hours partying and drinking.
Heavily.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, you have to take what they're saying with a grain of salt. Not with a grain of salt, but
you need something else to substantiate
always
it.
Is a possibility that their memory, at least on time frames, could be off.
Even on coherent, well-rested, sober minds, eyewitness testimonies are not great.
Yeah.
They need something else to go along with it. So at this point, we find out that Douglas, or Yellow, has been interviewed. He admits to dancing and flirting, but denies any involvement in her disappearance. He took a polygraph test. The results are inconclusive. And the FBI says they have no concrete evidence to hold him. You can't
he's not a U.S. citizen.
He's not a U.S. citizen, and they are not on U.S. territory.
Nope.
Tying everybody who has any authority to help, their hands tied. And the people that have authority to do a little bit more are doing nothing. So, The family decides to return home. March 27th, day 4. The cruise is wrapping up and ending. The Bradleys make the agonizing decision to disembark and fly home without Amy. And then the dad, Ron, tells us this just heartbreaking, and like you can feel this. He says that on the way home as they're landing, the turbulence was insane, worse than he'd ever experienced. They're being tossed around. It was terrifying for probably anyone else there. However, he says that he just felt this like sense of like calm and just like, great, if the plane crashes, this ends. This whole ordeal could be over. That is
I can't even imagine what this family was going through. Yeah, because here you are, you're stuck on this ship. You know, as a parent, that something terrible has happened.
Yeah.
And you probably feel pretty helpless because you're screaming at the top of your lungs to the people, the few people
that should have helped.
That can help.
Yeah.
And they're just brushing you off.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine how powerless that feels. And so I can only imagine just how terrible and helpless and this family felt.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, and that's the other thing. It's, one thing when you're in a state and in a country, unfortunately, when something terrible happens, you're thinking it could be anywhere. Now, everywhere is a possibility.
Yeah. And the crime scene is a moving ship.
But you're on a ship that's really only 1,000 feet tall and 10. Yeah, that is big. But in the reality of the world,
it's small.
It's tiny.
Yeah.
So as a parent and a family, my daughter clues something that happened to my daughter is right here. It's on this ship. And you just need someone to listen and take it seriously. I do think the FBI was taking it seriously. Yes. But unfortunately, you're 2 days late. And as an investigator, that is a massive.
Well, the first 48 hours are the most important.
And all the evidence has been wiped away and gone. So the FBI is starting with this massive stumbling block. Huge.
Yep.
So they're way behind. And I can only imagine as the parents, you are just want to literally rip your hair out because if someone would take you seriously, that it might, or at least you're hoping, would bring something forth. And the cruise line clearly didn't.
Yep.
And that is really what started this ball into the chaos it is today.
Yeah.
Because no one would take these people seriously. I mean, like I said, I was saying like it was weird, but I'm not saying that in a bad way. It was weird that they were so quick, but that's not a bad thing. Clearly, as parents, you have intuition. They knew something was wrong and they wanted someone. They were within the hour pleading for help and no one would take them seriously. And that is...
and to think the what ifs has got to spin your brain nonstop.
Well, now the what ifs are endless.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. And I feel bad. Listening to these FBI people, it is clear. They say, listen, we can't rule anything out.
Yep.
We have no idea. And we have to keep every avenue open.
And normally the whole point is let's check off the list. Let's start eliminating option A, B, C, D.
The only thing they were able to rule out is the family wasn't involved.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
And here's the thing.
And at the last place she was known to be is that she did return to her room.
Once you rule the family out, that actually opens more doors.
Yep.
So it's massive for them.
100%. So back in Virginia, the family turns their grief into action. They set up a command center. They start reaching out to press, law enforcement. They're doing everything they can to keep Amy's case alive. Their mantra seems to be over and over, someone knows something. And then we hear this quote, I know where she is. Amy is alive. So that is where episode 1 leaves us.
Yep. Yippers.
There's a lot to take in.
It's a lot in this episode. I mean, really, when you think about it, I think I told you, episode 3 is it's a lot of just storytelling of their life and the family.
Yeah.
And that, right? Episode 3 is it'll get you.
Yeah.
Because you see just the agony this family goes through for decades, technically. But this episode this is the meat. This is telling you, hey, this is what happened and this is what we know. Episode 2 is going to get us into a lot of theories.
Yeah, because no theories have been eliminated yet.
Exactly.
Right? So you have to look at every possibility.
You got to pull at every string and see where it leads you.
Yep.
And unfortunately, when all of that is based upon people's accounts and sightings, it can lead to a lot. But this one really just kind of gives you the meat and potatoes of this is what we know. This is what happened. And this was what was done to an extent.
Or not done.
Yeah. Or mostly not done. All right. So what was your thoughts on this episode?
I will say it's really well done as far as bringing you into the story and just, how does someone go missing on a cruise ship? You're in the middle of the ocean in a steel container. What happened to Amy Bradley? And it's not like she went out dancing and everyone was in their room and you didn't see her for 6 hours.
Yeah. I mean, your timeline is 30 minutes.
30 minutes. How does someone in 30 minutes vanish without a trace?
It's scary because, like I said,
it's terrifying.
It made me think more about cruises and the terrifying thing.
We didn't really talk about. There was a lady interviewed. I wrote down her name.
I think I did too.
We meet her.
Jamie Barrett.
Barrett?
Yeah, Barrett.
Yeah. So she is a cruise safety advocate. I went on a little side quest. She's done tons of interviews. I tried to find some more information. She runs this advocacy group for a club that nobody wants to be in. It's survivors, victims and survivors and their families of people who have had terrible things done to them or to family members while on cruise ships. And they have a website, and you want to never go on a cruise again.
Go on
that website and read the firsthand counts of sexual assaults, of missing people. It is overwhelming. And they're advocating, they're working really hard to try to make this form of travel and vacationing safer and have some sort of standard bare minimum just so that you are informed. And I was reading somewhere, this was on the other cruise documentary about the poop member one on Netflix.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
When you buy your cruise tickets, at least at the time, some of this language has been removed. At least I think it was on this. They are not liable for anything. They do not guarantee your safety. They don't guarantee your well-being. They don't guarantee this. All of this insane stuff where you're but I'm at your mercy. I can't bring food on the ship with me if you guys run out of food or if the air conditioner or the refrigerator system breaks. And they're like, we're not really technically obligated to feed you. Well, then where am I supposed to? But you consent to all of those things unknowingly when you go on a cruise ship. The Bradley family tried to file a civil suit against the cruise ship. The cruise ship is the problem in this story.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
again, I have a feeling that all of those clauses that you agree to when you choose to embark on a cruise ship, the cruise owes you nothing.
So just thinking about it, and I'm not an expert on that, this made me really, like I said, think through this. And I could be wrong in some of my takes on this. You got to think this ship belongs to a private entity. A private company owns it.
Okay.
Then once they sail it, I mean, there's one thing, like if you're in a hotel, Hilton owns it.
Yeah.
But it's on U.S. soil.
Yeah.
So the government now it has an interest in
and they have a level
protecting
of
you.
Expectation of what standards are to operate for you to have that vehicle.
If a crime happens in a hotel, even though it was in that hotel, which is owned by a private company, it's on U.S. soil. And like we've established.
If you're going to put your building on our soil, there is a certain level of safety and protocols that we require.
And we've established a norm that the police go in and they investigate all these things when something terrible happens. Well, you're taking this private property and you're sailing it onto international waters. Now, no one has an interest in that ship anymore.
Yep.
The only people are the people that own the ship. So then if something happens, there is no one. I mean, I already kind of spoke on this a little earlier, but there is no one there that has an interest in your safety and well-being and to investigate it.
There's no U.S. office on a cruise ship that you can go in there, knock on the door and say, I have a problem.
Obviously, if something happens, because that ship was based out of the U.S.
But some of them are not. That's what I went on to find out.
No, I know. I'm talking about this one, right? This one was based out of the U.S. It's owned by a U.S. company, or at least from my understanding. I could be wrong.
You are wrong. It's ported in Puerto Rico.
That's a U.S. territory.
Yes, but where they hire and do all of these things, they never tie the actual ownership of the cruise to anything with a U.S. address or anything, because who they hire, what their level of safety and maintenance and everything on that is all going to be listed under a different name and address or port location, whatever, however you store this cruise ship.
There was some interest, at least for the government, because they sent 2 FBI agents.
Because she was a U.S. citizen.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like there is some, but not enough. And that's what I'm saying. There's not enough where you can actually, there's no interest for the government to put law enforcement there.
Yeah.
Right. We put some law enforcement in planes because there is an interest in that.
Yeah, because I think that was one thing that I've talked to several people about is why don't we have cruise marshals or some sort of, fair question. But we didn't have air marshals until someone weaponized airplanes, right?
And it is scary to think that you can go out there. It is now run by this private entity. And something terrible can happen and no one really is going to advocate or protect you.
Yeah.
And that leaves it.
Even the safety standards, the way the employees are hired, the lack of maybe background checks and X, Y, or Z. You assume as an American citizen when you get on a Carnival cruise out of an American port and the captain is American and your face of the cruise is some white blonde hair boy, you just assume that the standards are going to be here. When actually maybe wherever the legal stuff that's important that keeps you safe is all decided, the threshold of what is expected the cruise ship to do is not at U.S. standards. It's wherever the ship is registered.
And here's the thing, I don't have a solution at
No.
all. I mean, I'm just now thinking about this.
No, and
'cause
that's
I've
what
never
this lady's
been
group is about, is they're advocating, trying to get, because so her daughter passed away on a cruise ship due to her boyfriend overdosing her with, I can't even remember what it was. And the boyfriend had snuck it onto the cruise ship. You're not supposed to bring drugs and alcohol onto the cruise ship. He got it on. Anyways, long story short, she even brought up the point that this happened in international waters. The Mexican authorities were the ones that went and confiscated the body and performed the autopsy and X, Y, or Z, which there's a language barrier there. But U.S. law will not allow a body, even when it has been committed a crime to it, to be shipped from like Mexico to America. Let's even say like one medical facility to the next without it being embalmed first. It is a federal requirement. Once a body's been cleaned and embalmed, you can no longer perform tons of testing that you would maybe do. And she just even brought up, like, that is a crazy thought to think, here, this American citizen, something was done, she passed away. You're trying to get her remains back to America. So then at that point, you're assuming then an actual investigation can take place and charges can be filed if that needs to happen. And that's why she said, you want to get away with murder? You take somebody on a cruise ship.
Yeah, it's a scary thought.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, I don't have any answers. I'm now just thinking about it because I've already said, I've never been on one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a ton of interest in going on one, but thinking about it creates a lot of
Tell you
problems.
what, I'd never want to take my teenagers, especially my teenage daughter, on one of these.
Yeah, and I mean, you really think it's multiple countries trying to do international relations, which we all know that's never good for the individual.
Yeah.
Might be good for the collective, but it's not good for an individual. What ends up happening is the individual is now at risk.
Yeah.
Because you have too many people and too many people that don't want to take responsibility or just kind of want to wash their hands. And you have multiple countries, multiple jurisdictions, and private entities. And the last person that's going to get taken care of is the individual person.
No.
They're always going to suffer the consequences. So if something bad does happen to you, good luck. I will say this. It sounded, the FBI agents did say, if they had evidence, they would have arrested Yellow.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm not saying Yellow did it. I'm just saying, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to point the finger. She's the one that said, if we had evidence that he had done something, so they technically could have arrested him and charged him with something, which is good. That's a positive sign. But unfortunately, their jurisdiction and their ability to do anything was so restricted. And that is a disaster.
And
what the solution is,
when one of your prime suspects still to this day is not an American citizen.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Not on U.S. soil. There's nothing you can do.
Nothing you can do. So yeah, I mean, I think we'll wrap up today's episode just kind of with those thoughts and things, because we're already at about our run time. I think next week we will likely be able to get to, because episode 3 is much more the remembering
it's much more
Amy.
Personal.
Yeah, it's a very personal story. It's very well done. I'm glad the family was so obviously involved in this project, because you get to feel a lot of love and empathy for these people going through this. So yeah, with that, if you guys want to stick around, I will ask Ben our weekly question. We'll kind of lighten it up a little bit, and then join us again next week and we'll finish up this thank you series. So just because today marks our 1 year, do you have any fun or lighthearted goals or ambitions for year 2 for our podcast, babe? You finally want one of those guest hosts to come in so you can have
that.
You want to put that into action this year.
Yeah, I think twice a month.
A month?
We should have guest hosts, and they can fill in for me. I like that idea. That's my goal.
That's not going to happen. So make it a reasonable goal.
A reasonable goal. I listen. This has been your baby, and in my opinion, I've really already kind of hit the goals in the fact of we're pretty smooth in how we do it now. I feel that we're much more comfortable in doing it. And
I know. Can you imagine like listening to the first couple episodes now? I think it would be.
I think they were fine. I think we had a pretty.
I know, but the polishedness I think has evolved.
I'm sure it will get a little bit more polished as time goes on. So no, I mean, I've been pretty happy. I don't know. You clearly have much more ambitions and goals.
Yeah.
For this, my goal was to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Watching Unsolved Mysteries has the thought of rewatching this whole thing and seeing every episode, that was a feat. And so just being able to accomplish that, it's a big goal for me.
Yeah.
And so no, I hope to continue to be able to do this with you.
Yeah.
So what's yours?
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to like be reasonable and just keep it to this like year 2, because long term, I have insane goals for this podcast. I have already mapped out tour ideas. I've mapped out like fun things we can do on stage. I have thought all like the biggest dreams, right? Being guests on other true crime podcasts and getting to go to CrimeCon. Like, yeah, I've got big plans. But for this next year, my biggest goal is that we will have enough patrons coming to us every month that we can start to offer some sort of Patreon service, that we can have a monthly bonus episode. I'd like to have the ability to do either watch along parties where everyone can log in and watch Unsolved Mysteries like with me and Ben while he watches it, because sometimes that's really fun. Or we can do an Unsolved Mysteries trivia night, just different things like that can be offered on Patreon. So that's what I would like to see in the next year that we can do, which just means following along, rating, review us, sharing us, because as we grow, it gives us the ability to offer some more stuff. And I think it would be fun to get to know our community a little bit better, to get to have the option to be a little bit more personal, let our head down a little bit, like going behind a paywall for an episode. You know, you can be a little bit more, I don't know, laid back and kind of goof off a little bit more. And then it would be fun to be able to have options of, you know, different things like that. And I'd like to do a merch launch in this next year.
What merch would you want?
Sweatshirts, obviously. Comfy, cozy. I want comfy, cozy sweatshirts for everybody. But I've got to figure out what that looks like. So I don't know. Merch can be shirts, hats, keychains, coffee mugs, the whole 9 yards. But I'd like to do a limited edition merch launch of some sort that we don't have a ton of stock or anything here, but that we do something small and see how it does. And yeah, so those are my year 2 goals.
Year 2 goals.
Yeah. All Patreon and a merch launch. So yeah. All right, guys, that is our recap of the first episode of the Amy Bradley documentary that is available on Netflix. And please join us again next week where Ben and I will wrap up the Amy Bradley series. Bye.
Bye.